Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. I think this is episode number 29, if I'm correct. To
29.
talking God and politics with Mark, Mike, and my beautiful wife, Denise. And we're almost to episode 30. Wow, we've been doing this for a while.
I know. It has been. I was looking over the Rumble channel, just kind of going through the different video. And, we had a rough start in the beginning. It was sometimes the audio worked, sometimes it didn't, you know.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, though, we had a, with David Curtis, that was still our biggest video so far, at least on Rumble. It's a slow going with Rumble when it comes to getting subs. So, but that's all right.
Yeah. Well, if you're new to the show, basically what we do is we just talk about current events from a Christian worldview, from a Christian preterist worldview. So, we're not evangelical Zionists. So a lot of times we will critique our president, unfortunately, who we voted for 3 times. We will critique, we're going to critique Paula White here in a little bit. So we talk God and politics, and from that particular worldview. And so that's kind of the format of the show. And Mark, sometimes there's not a whole lot going on in the news. So every once in a while we'll start off with something kind of light. And I think you have a little something.
Yeah, Rosie O'Donnell moved to Ireland. Had to get away from the.
I'm missing her already.
Administration, but and I was thinking about it. So, and this is kind of going to show my age, but I think that's okay. There was a VH1 because I'm thinking, how did Rosie O'Donnell become popular? Because she's done nothing. In fact, on one of her X rants, she said, "Hey, the actress from the Flintstones." I mean, that's her claim to fame, the Flintstones movies. But no, I remember her as a comedian on VH1 when VH1 had a comedy show and there were stars, like the back was lit with these lights that made it look like stars in the sky. And they would have these people come out on stage. And this is probably late 80s, early 90s because the big hair. And I remember Rosie O'Donnell coming out. And she had the big hairspray hair. And she was funny. She was a good comedian at one time. I don't know what happened. It's kind of like Ellen DeGenerate. You go back and listen to her early comedy. She's a good comedian, and then she gets famous and totally becomes terrible. And that's what happened with Rosie. Totally.
Yeah, Rosie wasn't even on my radar until Trump called her a fat pig, I think. And that's what kind of put her on my radar. And but one thing I do like about Rosie is at least she's consistent. How many of these celebrities, quote unquote, have we heard? Well, if Trump becomes president, I'm leaving. I'm going to become a citizen of another country. And yet they never do.
Yep.
Yeah. So at least Rosie's a little more consistent.
Yeah, and Ellen DeGenerate moved to England too. So there were 2. You're right. At least she's consistent. But that's the funny thing is that since late 80s, early 90s, she dropped off the map. Nobody. I think Trump made her more famous than she was as a comedian back in the late 80s.
You're right. I think you're right.
Anyway, I should have saved that one where she goes, "Hey, she had moved to Ireland. Hey, it's Rosie O'Donnell." She goes, actress from the Flintstones, and I went, "Really? That's what you hold on to? The Flintstones movie?" Anyway, all right.
Why this?
A lot of people did vote for him.
Yes.
Do you accept their right to do that and their opinion of him?
Well, I respect their right to do that. I question why the first time in American history a president has won every swing state and is also best friends, and his largest donor was a man who owns and runs the internet.
Owns and runs the internet.
Wow. Well, that's news. We're breaking news right now.
Man,
I did not know that.
Elon runs the internet.
He owns it.
So I would hope that that would be investigated and that we would see whether or not it was an anomaly or something else that happened on election night in America when Kamala Harris was filling up stadiums with people who supported her. And Donald Trump was not able to do that.
Wow.
Hi, Trump. Oh
So
my God.
it's curious to me.
Here, wait, let's back that up.
That's not reality.
So it's curious to me. And as an American and a believer in democracy,
Oh, wait, hang on. Where'd
with
she
people who supported her. And Donald Trump was not able to do that.
So she was selling out stadiums. Donald Trump was not. All right, just wanted to get that clear.
So it's curious to me.
It's
And
weird.
as an American and a believer in democracy, I would hope that we would be able to look at all of the reasons why this happened in our country.
Oh. Well,
So-
that's scary.
Yeah, so lie.
After
Now, I
lie.
don't know. Yeah, now, granted, she probably didn't pay much attention to Trump. I'll give her that. She probably didn't pay much attention to Trump, but she's on X, and the way she interacts with, things on X, she had to have seen, because X was full of video pictures of Trump literally selling 30, 40, 50. Heck, I think there was an airport that sold 100,000 seats or 100,000 people were there. So she has to lie about that.
Yeah, I think she's crazy and she lies. It's probably
Yeah.
probably
And obviously she doesn't know who Elon Musk is because he doesn't own the internet. He owns a company, Starlink, that gives you internet access, but he doesn't own the internet.
And it was fine when these globalists owned all the,
Yes.
Zuckerberg, when all the Democrats and the socialists owned the networks and the social media platforms, that was fine. But if we have one, then we have to have an investigation. And yet when we did have an investigation, the CIA and the FBI were found guilty, pressuring the social network platforms.
To censor.
To censor
So,
Hunter's laptop. And
if you think about it, all the way back to the pandemic, from the pandemic through the election, through the Biden administration, who owned the internet? I think the Democrats pretty much owned the internet. They owned legacy media. They
Google.
owned media.
Who runs Google?
They own
Who gives when you search for something important? Who's in charge of feeding you?
Exactly.
Because you're not going to get the real story unless you go down to the very bottom of the, 515th thing. They're going to give you their propaganda, and Google is just the worst.
Yeah. So, crazy, a liar, and obviously ignorant on just basic things, man.
Yes.
So that's fine. She can stay in Ireland. It will be interesting when Conor McGregor wins the election. We'll see if she actually stays.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, and it's just funny to me, it's saving democracy to want to investigate the 2024 election, but it was destroying democracy and conspiracy theory to want to investigate the 2020 election.
Great point.
I got it. Okay.
Well, since you bring up Conor McGregor, so I'm all pumped. I'm all excited. Yeah, we got Conor. He's probably a conservative. He's going to go after these globalists. And then I see this post where he's just like, yeah, Israel, I'm the best supporter of Israel. I'm like, holy crud. This guy's running on a platform of getting all the Muslims and the illegals out of Ireland. Okay?
Yes.
And yet this guy is so stupid that he doesn't understand that Israel is behind all the replacement migration going on in Europe and in Ireland. And I private messaged him and said, well, I said a few things that I won't repeat here. But in short, the guy's just an idiot. It's just like, move over and let a real Christian Irish patriot do the job, because obviously you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Well,
I mean, he's going into the very hands of the people that are actually doing the crime that he's trying to confront. It's mind-boggling. But
well, Mike, I'll tell you, if you run on a federal level or at a prime minister level, you never get there until you first go through this
kiss the ring.
brainwashing and this knowing who funds you. You have to go through. You're like, okay, before you do this, you got to know who's funding you.
Is this the hazing process?
Yes. Yeah. And so once that happens, then they're like, okay, repeat after me. Israel good, everybody else bad. And then, once you get that, then you're like, okay, you're free to go. Say whatever you want.
Well, you're not free to say whatever you want.
No, other than going
kiss the ring, they've got you. And I would like to see Trump, and that's the big question that we always have is with Trump: is he gonna go against them after he took all their money?
Right. We will see. All right, I'm going to lead into this. So, AOC and Bernie Sanders have been going around a few states. Colorado, they're not going to come to the South. They're not going to touch the South. They're not going to touch Texas. But they are going to Colorado, and I think this was in Colorado.
They can stay there.
Fight oligarchy. So I wanted to at least play this and address some of the things. And I also came to a realization, but we'll listen to it and then I'll speak on it.
Elon Musk, because we know that a better world is possible. But to get there, we need to be honest about where we are, because we are witnessing an oligarchy in America. And that is when those with the most economic, political, and technological power destroy the public good to enrich themselves while millions of Americans pay the price.
George Soros?
And we are at a point where the wealthiest people in the world, like Elon Musk, and all the Republicans enabling him, are turning to loot what is left of Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security to bankroll even deeper tax cuts and sweetheart contracts for themselves, their fellow billionaires, and their corporations.
Oh, Lord.
So I don't even, I tried to count the lies. There's just way too many.
Yeah.
So first of all, what is an oligarchy? Let's define that. A government in which a small group exercises control, especially for corrupt and selfish purposes.
Sounds like the Democrat Party.
I can go through them. Rothschild, Rockefeller, George Soros.
Yeah.
I mean, just to name a few, but Elon Musk is not one of them. He used to be, until they turned one of his boys into a girl. And then he kind of woke up to really what the heck's going on. And he came over to our side. At least we hope. We think he is.
Yeah. So she's saying basically that when Trump got elected and brought in Musk with the, Doge. That we became an oligarchy. Ignoring the fact that through the Obama administration, through the Biden administration, which, by the way, and we'll talk about this later, but I've come to the realization that Biden wasn't the worst. I said this in a couple of episodes previously, that Biden was the worst president ever. He really wasn't, because he was just a figure. He wasn't really the president. Obama is the worst president ever, which he's the only president in the U.S. history that has had 3 terms. He is the worst because he's the one that has caused that. So, and I used to say AOC was dumb. She's just dumb. She is not. She is very intelligent. I've come to the realization she is very intelligent. She knows how to mix words, tell lies. It's the people that are out there listening to her that are the morons. They're not smart, because
you have to wonder, and you have to understand how AOC was actually picked, because she was auditioned to run. They actually went in and auditioned her to run, and they literally, at least at first, maybe it's not true now, but at least at first, they gave her a script, and this is what she was supposed to say. So it makes me wonder, is this her writing, or is this someone giving her
she's reading a speech right there. I mean, I think most of what comes out of her mouth is a prepared speech. Now, when she's talking off the cuff, she is a moron. I mean, there's so many clips of this woman not knowing anything, but she's a good communicator, and she knows how to sell what is on that paper that is written for her. That's for sure.
Exactly it. That is exactly it. The people, the problem is, and this is what I've come to realize with most of the Democrat Party today. I'm not saying previously, but most of the Democrat Party today, it's about envy, because even with her, you can hear it, and it's envy. That is what it's all about, is envy. And they had to, flip the script to say billionaires, because, Bernie Sanders is a multi-millionaire that owns, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 homes. He has quite a bit of money. So, they had to ratchet it up to billionaires. But it's amazing to me that no one that listens to this, or, did you see the pictures in, was it Denver, they said there were 30,000 people? Look, I'll admit there was a lot of people in that picture. I don't know if they were paid to be there or what, but yes, there were a lot of people there.
So interesting about that, I'll answer that one. They pinged a good portion of all of these cell phones that were there, and they found out that,
80%.
what was it, 80% of the people there had been to 7 or more Kamala Harris rallies.
But they were,
and 25% had been to 20 or more Democratic Kamala Harris, Joe Biden rallies.
And yet they were making the pitch that this is a grassroots, incredible movement in which people are coming to these things that have never come before. And this is all new and exciting. It's like, no, that's a lie. That's a complete lie.
Yeah.
These are people that are diehard fascists that love to follow these people around.
So they're coming from
some spontaneous movement.
Right. So they're flying in from New York. They're flying in from California. Okay,
Right.
got it. Because I was like, man, I just thought the people coming to hear this and don't question anything, it just amazes me. They cannot be that ignorant. But if it's not a grassroots effort, it's planned. Hell, George Soros probably paid for their flights to get them all there.
They're not growing. It's to give the impression that they're growing,
and they're not,
because they know that they've lost, and they continue to sink, and they're sinking, and they're sinking, and so they're having to do this propaganda to give the impression that they're on the rise again. That's all it is.
Well, that's good, because the party of envy, I can't imagine them. I can't imagine that the Democrat Party is going to even survive after the next election. I think there'll be a little bit left, in 4 years, but after that, I think it's going to fragment so much that
the only thing that's going to hurt our party is the Israel issue. If we do not, if Trump does not turn course on Israel, our party is in for a big awakening, because there's a lot of people that we're America first, and we're looking around going, wait a second, this is Israel first.
Yeah.
So that's going to be our issue.
Well, the Republican Party, I thought, was going to implode on itself during Bob Dole, and then when they ran Romney against Obama, because I said, well, now I was already a libertarian by then. Well, I shouldn't say Bob Dole, because he was before 2008, but about 2007 is when I left the Republican Party, and I said, well, I'm done with this. And then you saw all these other people leave that either became independents or went to the Libertarian Party. I've seen a lot of conservative Republicans go to the Libertarian Party, even though they hated the fact of what we stood on drug laws and war, but they came to the party. And Trump has kind of brought them back.
Right.
Now, I used to say the Republican Party is going to implode. It's over. You can't run these type of candidates. And then all of a sudden Trump comes out of nowhere. And I'm like, well, okay, he might actually keep the party together. But the Democratic Party, I don't see anybody that can hold that together. I just don't see it. And I think we're going to see the last days of it after the next election. It may take 2 more federal elections for president before it goes away, but I think we're going to see the destruction of it unless somebody like a Trump for the left comes out and does something.
Right. So before, because I know Mike wants to go to this Paula White thing that we have. Before then, just in talking about the Democrats and how nothing they do is grassroots. Joe Rogan did an interview with Mike Benz, and he's been on like Tucker. Mike Benz has been on Tucker a lot. He's uncovered a lot of things, but he has followed some of the money that Obama supposedly used to go to, quote, foreign aid that was then funneled back through the Cayman Islands. And it was used to train militant groups to go in and create riots and to create these culture wars. So that's part of where you just passed it. It's one of the first ones, but it's 7 minutes long. So I didn't want to bore everybody with 7 minutes. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, that's well, it is, because that's what Obama did. We didn't really have racial issues until he came along. In fact, if we had racial issues in the United States, he would have never been elected in the first place. So that's always been bogus. So this is interesting.
Yeah, it's a little too long though. But on the Paula White front, I can't help but play this.
I believe that when you honor God on Passover, starting on April 12th at sundown, through Good Friday on the 18th, and concluding on Easter Sunday, you can receive these 7 supernatural blessings for you and your house. According to Exodus 23, God will assign an angel to you. He'll
get an angel.
Enemies. He'll give you prosperity. He'll take sickness away from you.
Sickness away.
He'll bring increase in inheritance.
Long life.
Special year of blessing. You're not doing this to get something, but you're doing it in honor to God.
You're doing it to give me something. As the Holy Spirit leads.
You get a crystal cross. $1,000 or more
into your life.
Oh
I
my
believe that when you
So hang on, those bullet points. Go back to
the bullet points.
The bullet points.
Yeah.
Let's see. Find them.
But what you get, it's all about what you get. There. It's after.
I believe that when you honor God on Passover 12th at sundown, you can receive these 7 supernatural
Here we go.
blessings for you and your house. According to Exodus,
they're coming up.
God will assign
All
an
right.
angel to you.
Cause increase for you. What is that?
Well, I want to go back to the personal angel. I mean, so you have to pay money to get a personal angel.
Yeah.
And she knows this how?
Yeah.
Because
Who's
God told
deciding it?
her. Because
Is
God
it-
told her. Now, this, folks, this is the woman that our president wants to counsel him on what God's will is. If we should go to war on certain issues,
Or doomed.
this is the person that he's going to pick up that phone and call. The woman that tells you that God told her that if you give her $1,000, God's going to give you an angel to fight your enemy. I can't even read this with a straight face. My God.
This is hilarious.
So Trump is either a genius, and he put this dumb idiot in here because he knows unfortunately Christianity has gone this low, and there's so many people like this woman out there that he needs their vote, so that's why he has her around.
Yeah.
Or we're screwed. and Trump he's not a 5D chess player, folks. I don't know if he's opened his Bible yet. If this is the kind of woman he's looking for spiritual counsel to. Okay.
All right. So
I've had my fun.
Here's the other thing. I don't think Falwell or Robertson or any of those guys even got close to offering this kind of stuff. Oh man, she just went like, we're swinging for the fences on this.
Man.
We're gonna see what happens.
Golly.
Oh man.
Oh man.
I love how you're not doing this. You're not giving $1,000 to get something. I felt like saying, yeah, you're giving it to give her something.
Yeah. All right. So those 7 things. Hey, if those 7 things aren't good enough, we have a crystal cross we'll give you. We got a crystal cross you're gonna love.
I love, and if the Holy Spirit moves you, while they're playing the music, and
it's like an angel, blessing, free stuff, more money, no sickness, and living to 200 is not enough. We're gonna give you a crystal cross. If you don't want those things,
that's it. That seals the deal. Honey, get the checkbook.
Oh, that's the greatest thing ever.
Oh, okay. Well, I've got to play my boy Stu Peters. All right, I can never do a show without playing Mr. Peters here. So he just shoots so straight.
Israel and the Jews murdered John F. Kennedy in what really and truly was an anti-American coup to seize control of this country, of our government, of our lives. All of that and more is reflected in the JFK files. Like the one that says, quote, Israel is no good. Israel is behind the JFK assassination, end quote. And they did it through their unholy, disgusting alliance with the CIA and with other members of the Rothschild-owned, central banking-dominated, occupied U.S. federal government.
True.
They did it with the help of men like James Angleton.
Yeah, that guy.
This guy is a real piece of a traitor to this country who sold himself out to Israel as far back as the 1950s. He spent 2 decades handing Israel American secrets and American uranium to help fuel the rise of the Israeli war machine, to give nukes to psychotic Jews so they could hold the entire world hostage with the Samson option, just like they're doing right now. In fact, he did so much to hurt America, so much to enrich and weaponize Israel and give them the control over America and the world that they so desperately desired, that after he died, these disgusting Jews built a monument to this guy in Israel.
Wow.
He was such a traitor to America that the Jews have memorialized him throughout the ages as a shining example of what a good little Shabbos goy could do if he really puts his mind to serving his Jewish masters.
I love it.
Well, now the Israeli
Israel.
He's such a word master. I love this guy.
JFK didn't want Israel to be some kind of militarized Middle Eastern war machine because he knew that if he gave the Jews an inch, they would take a mile. And that Israel would become the monster that it is today, putting us on the brink of the end of the world as we know it. So if you combine that with Kennedy's domestic policies, and if you combine his domestic policies with his disdain for the Federal Reserve, and if you combine his support for gold and silver-backed currencies, and of course, his desire for AIPAC to register as a foreign agent, well, it's pretty easy to see why these demons killed our president. But again, it wasn't just Israel. Sure, the Jews were in charge, obviously, but they had plenty of American traitors on their side to help them. The CIA carried out this mission on behalf of their Israeli handlers at Mossad because President Kennedy got in their way.
True.
So, a couple of things. One is the statue of that guy. I thought, as a good, Jew practicing, you can't have idols. But they go ahead and build statues of people. I mean, that's why you couldn't find the bones of Moses. You can't have all that because you're not supposed to build idols of people. Anyway, obviously the Israeli government built a monument or a statue or whatever it is of that guy, but
well, the fact is, I mean, the point is the guy was a traitor. I mean, he sold our nuclear secrets.
Yeah.
It was just outright treason.
What was the Samson thing that they said there?
Oh, the Samson option is, and this is why Kennedy didn't want them to have nuclear weapons, is they have a thing called the Samson option. That is, if they believe they are going to be nuked,
be annihilated,
they will go ahead and nuke everybody, including their quote unquote allies, including us. Mm-hmm. They would nuke us if it came down. If we didn't support them in a war against Iran, and Iran had nuclear weapons, and Iran was going to nuke them, and they knew that it was coming, they would shoot off nukes to us. They would nuke us.
Wow.
That's how crazy these people are.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And everything about them is blackmail. Everything about them.
Yeah, the government. Yeah.
I mean, that's how they run their gig, man.
Hey, so last episode, what was that guy's name I showed on CNN? He was the previous prime minister. Did y'all hear anything? He says he's going to run again. When is the next election?
I don't
for
know.
A new prime minister.
I know it's coming up because they keep saying that Benjamin Netanyahu, he's keeping the wars going because he's trying to avoid the election.
Yeah, because I honestly think the people in Israel are going to get rid of him.
I would hope so.
There have been a lot of uprisings against him. There have been.
Didn't he retire at some point and then he came back?
Well, he got beat. And then
that's what it was. Then he came back. Okay. All right.
Well, what else we got?
So the whole Obama thing you had mentioned earlier, I'd like to see that. We're gonna have to work through that video and pull out some stuff on that. I want to dig into that. But I've got something here. This posted a few days ago, and I think any rational American, any logically thinking American was against the whole, that actually doesn't have this visceral feeling towards politics, that we actually approach people and politicians and think, okay, this isn't right, or okay, what are they doing? Is this right? We think through things, and I kind of expected. Why am I not able to share this? Okay, I'm hitting the wrong button. We all knew that Obamacare was not something that was it was not constitutional at all, but we knew it wasn't going to help people that didn't have health insurance.
Yeah, he lied.
And anyone that's been around understands that most of the time the federal government and the laws that get passed help the people that are passing the laws, or the lobbyists that help get the law passed, and not really help the average American. But here is the average annual expenditures for health insurance per household consumer. And can I not zoom in? Is that as good as it's going to get? Hang on. There, come on. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but the Affordable Care Act signed into law was right when the Obama administration, and of course at that time we had Democrats in the House and the Senate. They passed it here in that first line, or they signed it into law, and then the second line is when it was implemented. And look at that. Pre-Affordable Care Act trend from 2000 to 2010 is the dotted line there.
Yep.
The health insurance, 38 above pre-ACA trend. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've talked to friends of mine that had their own business, or that there were contractors or whatever, and they said it just ruined them. It was unbelievable, the expense. And then also your average person that didn't really want health care now gets fined, $1,500. So you sign up, and you had Blue Cross Blue Shield after I think 3 years of it finally was like, we can't do this. It's costing us too much money. And of course they raise all the rates and push it back on people like us. So it's just one more little thing that the Obama administration did to ruin the middle class, and obviously what the globalists want. America is the last really place on earth where you can be somewhat prosperous in the middle class. And just one more thing that they want to destroy us. But I couldn't believe look at that, 38%, and it's just gone up ever since.
And the whole purpose was to bankrupt the healthcare system, to force us to go to government care, to force us to go to a type of plan and a type of government care like Canada has. So let's look and see what that has turned into.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Today on how fucked is Canadian healthcare, I need an MRI to see if I have a fucking brain tumor. And go ahead, guess when it is. Go ahead, guess. It's in 2026. 2026. My MRI to see if I have a brain tumor is in 2026. It's March 2025 right now. And if you thought this was bad, it's actually worse than you thought, because the appointment where we decided that I need this MRI was in December of last year. So it's not like it's 10 months from now, it's 13 months. It's a 13-month wait to see if I have a brain tumor. At first, I just thought this was a mistake because having an MRI every year is like a monitoring timeline. Like, I already have an MRI every year for my spine tumor, which is why we think maybe I have a brain tumor too. So I was like, hey, they just made a mistake and scheduled this on a monitoring timeline. But no, I called and the clinic was like, yeah, the doctor actually requested that you have it earlier, but this is the next spot we have. We're seeing about 13 months for these brain and spine MRIs. Cool. Canada, where healthcare is free, but only if you can afford to wait.
Right. Well, and if you notice, this was right around the time that the Obamacare was getting passed. The prime minister at the time came to America to get, he had heart issues. He came to America. And oh, by the way, Mick Jagger had heart issues around the same time. And guess where he came? Not in England, where it's free and great. He came over here. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. If you have the money, it's a two-tiered system. So if you have the money to pay out of pocket, you can be seen like that. But if you are relying on the government's healthcare system, it is either, number one, a true lottery where it is random and whoever gets picked is the one that gets the first appointment, or you're seeing appointments years out.
Yeah. If you got the money, you're either going to America or, somewhere else. You're not staying there. And man, it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy, man.
But this is what everyone wants. And so when AOC gets up there, like she did in this rally with Bernie Sanders, and talks about free healthcare, and don't we have the right to free healthcare? Number one, no, we don't. We have the right to take care of our bodies the way God designed us to take care of our bodies, number one. Number two, the government shouldn't be footing the bill for anything.
Right. Nothing.
Nothing.
Education, healthcare, nothing.
So it's very frustrating.
Well, I mean, you look at everything that the government, federal government, even your local municipalities, most of the time they touch stuff, it turns to SHIT. But look at the federal government. Everything they've touched, it destroys it.
Yeah, it does.
Everything. You can't find one thing. Social Security. Oh, man, everybody loved it when it came out. Look at it. It's terrible. And I guess in the 70s, I mean, I was a kid, but I guess in the 70s, everybody loved the Department of Education. Well, now our current administration has proven that was a joke. That was, well, we'll get in. Never mind. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you heard RFK? He makes this statement: since October 7th, that was a Holocaust. They're calling October 7th a Holocaust. Since that Holocaust, he's saying there's been a rise, a mysterious rise, just out of the blue, rise of anti-Semitism. And this is another guy I watched that I really like. And this is Harris. He's got really good humor, and he critiques this really well.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said this yesterday: instead of inspiring universal condemnation in the October 7 Holocaust.
I don't think you're sharing, Mike.
It was a Holocaust now. Triggered a
sharing? I don't see
of anti-Semitism. And
is it not shared?
I don't see it.
Oh, you're right. If I can find it. Here we go. There it is. All right. My bad.
Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said this yesterday: instead of inspiring universal condemnation, the October 7 Holocaust, it was a Holocaust now, triggered a global wave of anti-Semitism. And it's like, you're not missing anything? You're not, did anything else happen? Is there anything you might be missing out in this timeline? That's being presented by RFK Jr. October 7th Holocaust happens. Anti-Semitism explodes. There's nothing in between there. Nothing Israel got up to. I seem to remember there being just like a few things in between October 7th and the rise of anti-Semitism, if you want to call it that. If that's the word you want to apply to legitimate criticism about a geopolitical conflict between a nation state and a stateless people. You can call that anti-Semitism if it helps you disguise reality, I guess. Yeah. You know, remember when they took bread trucks into places where people were starving and then shot the people for trying to get the bread? Remember that? Did RFK miss that part of the conversation? Because as presented, and here's the trick to it, they can't let any criticism of Israel or the Jews be reasonable. It has to be some sort of inexplicable insanity. So what they're presenting is an act of insanity. If all that happened was Israel was attacked on October 7th, it was a horrific sneak attack on Israel, and then everybody hated Israel, that's insane. That's an insane thing. Somebody gets attacked and then they're hated for it. Wow, this must be some sort of madness that we're dealing with. But if you include the aspect of the genocide that occurred, then maybe the anti-Israel sentiment isn't quite insane anymore. Just like if I see a man slap another man, it'd be insane for me to like hate the guy that was slapped. That would be crazy. But if a guy slaps another guy and then the other guy turns around and unloads a shotgun into the first guy's chest, then I'm gonna have some questions. I'm not so much on the side of the guy with the shotgun anymore. Even though he was the one that got slapped, I'll admit that. And that was a sneak attack and it wasn't good. It didn't give him the right to blow the brains out of the guy who slapped him. And if you leave that out, this is a guy going, I got slapped and now people are mad at me. I got slapped and now I'm going to jail. Is that justice? It's like, wasn't there something in between those two things? Wasn't there something that happened between the slap and the anger against you? That was your behavior that you're accountable for?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's because, there was a stand down order for 4 to 7 hours.
Yeah,
and the Iron
flag.
Dome just all of a sudden didn't work. Give me a break. It was another false flag.
Well, I saw something too that said they were chopping the heads off babies and all of that that was not true at all. It was all propaganda and
a bunch of rape that didn't happen too.
And honestly, when I saw it, I was like, there's no way. I said, show me a picture. And no one can show a picture. Everybody's watching, CNN or CBS Nightly News or 60 Minutes. And they're saying, oh yeah, they're chopping off heads. And I'm like, okay, fine. Show me one. I said, this can't be true. Well, now it's coming out that, yeah, it was all propaganda and all of this. And the reality is, it was a false flag. They set it up because you couldn't have a mouse run across that thing without him noticing.
No, you couldn't.
So when it went down, it was not that it malfunctioned. It was on purpose.
Yeah.
And then these people coming in go-karts with they're in go-karts with machine guns. You have like billions of dollars worth of army equipment, and you're being overrun by people coming in go-karts.
I know. Paraglider go-karts.
Paraglider go-karts, and all hell's breaking loose. Babies are getting their head chopped off. You know, pets are, what was that on Dumb and Dumber? He said, he goes, pets' heads are falling off. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, that, and there's a lot of footage of when Israel did respond, that they shot a lot of these people themselves. And but the point is that it was a false flag. They knew it was going to happen. They actually funded and formed Hamas. Of course, you know, we might want to throw that in there too, just a tidbit. So so they can have the opposition to justify doing the genocide and stealing the land and doing their Greater Israel Project. And now in Israel, remember, we covered this in one of the episodes, I brought it up. I think you get 5 years in prison if you didn't, they call it deny October 7th, which really means if you question it, if you question what we're talking about.
You're saying the people, the citizens of Israel living in there, if you deny, you see what the government's doing. And this is a good point. I want to.
It's what they do with the Holocaust.
Yeah, right. And
Germany, you go to jail if you deny the Holocaust.
Oh yeah, and they will not
in many countries
to deny.
Well, now they're trying to do the same thing. That it's a playbook that's worked for them.
Yes,
right. They're always the victim, and so now they're doing the same thing with October 7th. It's a Holocaust. We even have our people saying that, which is scary.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And you know, in Germany too, they you can't even find like Mein Kampf anywhere. They've banned everything, which is, you know, there was a time that the neo-Nazis were gaining more and more converts, and this may still be true because of the fact, you know, I mean, this goes all the way back to Genesis. You tell me I can't have something, you're going to make it worse. That's just human nature. That's the way it's been. That's the way it always is. So you know, I get back on the internet. It's finally the internet is exposing these things that we've always thought as truth are becoming lies. We're realizing they're lies, not becoming lies. We're realizing that these are lies and that they were never, you know, government schools have been teaching it wrong, and we're beginning to see. Now, getting back on like Stu Peters and some other guys, I do want to, I like what Ian Carroll says about it's really the Israeli government. You know, when a lot of these guys say Jews and this, that's when they're saying, oh, anti-Semitism is on the rise. Even on this, what we're talking about here, and what we've talked about for, I don't know, the last 5-6 episodes, we're not attacking the Jews. We're looking at what the government is doing around the world and how they're manipulating the United States government and everything. And I think, you know, we have to be careful to throw that word around, that every single Jew, because, and I keep forgetting, but I need to share the video on YouTube. Most of the people that live in Israel are agnostic or atheists.
And they've got no biological relationship to, and they're not a Semite. Just, you know, minor details like that.
Yeah. So there's a line when people are saying, and I hate that anti-Semite, because first of all, there is no such thing as Semites anymore. So why would you say I'm anti-Semite?
It depends on how you define that. If you define Semite as speaking the languages in that area, then, you know, but the Palestinians are more Semitic than these European like we talked about, even Bibi, he changed his last name. I forget what his last name really is, but he's Polish. He's no descendant of Abraham in any shape or form.
Right.
But getting back to your issue, though, this is how I qualify it, Mark. Again, if someone claims they're a Jew, I'm going to make them prove it. I'm not going to be on the defense. They're going to be on the defense. I'm going to be I'm tired of me supposedly being the victim and having to respond. Oh, you're a Jew?
No, I agree.
Prove it. What tribe are you from? Oh, I don't know what tribe I'm from. Well, then don't tell me about this. But my issue is I'm against anyone that believes in the Talmud. I don't care if you're black, green, Chinese, white, and you want to call yourself a Jew, whatever. But if you study that Talmud and you want Talmudic law imposed wherever you go, you're no different to me than a Muslim who infiltrates other countries and wants the Quran and Sharia law to rule the day. Because there is no difference, folks, between the Quran and the Talmud. They're both wicked. So if you're a Jew, you're identifying yourself as a Jew, and you want Talmudic law imposed, then I'm going to be against you. My Constitution here is against you. My Bible is against you. And I will criticize you. I will mock you. And I have the freedom of speech to do it. And I have the biblical responsibility to do it. And so, I'm not against any race. There is no racial issue even on the table.
Right. That's my point. It's not a people issue. It is. We would do the same thing if they're trying to implement Sharia law as we would with anything else.
And the Talmud, here's the problem. And you can say, well, we're criticizing a nation, right, in Israel. And we are. But you have to realize the people that formed that nation was the Rothschilds. And Meir Bauer studied the Talmud day and night, and he had a rabbi come and teach him the Talmud. So when we're looking at Israel's foreign policy and we're seeing them committing genocide, and they're stealing and they're killing and they're even slaughtering Christians, their foreign policy of that nation state is coming from the Talmud, which teaches them everyone else is an animal, has no soul, and you're allowed to rape these people. You're allowed to murder them and steal from them, and that's God's will. So you can't if you could separate Israeli foreign policy from the Talmud, that would be wonderful. If you could separate people who call themselves Jews from the Talmud, that would be wonderful. But when they're intertwined like that,
right? When the government
that's what makes this a very tricky issue.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it'd be like any big government with religious notions doing the same thing. Just in the fact that if you had this fanatical, weird Christian government that decided that if you don't believe in anything, we're going to destroy you. Same idea.
That wouldn't be Christian. That would be a cult.
Well, right.
That would be different. And that's what separates Christianity from. That's why I wrote my book. I made all the comparisons and contrasts between the Quran, the Talmud, and the Bible. And there's, Christianity is so much more peaceful and righteous, and it grows through confronting man's sin, whereas Islam, grows through giving people what they want, right? Hey, if you become a Muslim and you join the Islamic religion, you can go rape and steal people. So you have all these poor Muslims join because they want to go steal stuff and get rich. It's like, wow, Christianity is such the opposite.
Right.
So what else we got? Oh, well, on that, let me play this. I'm on a roll tonight, so talking about BB's last name. Let's
show you what I'm about to show you. Your mind will be blown. You're going to be blindsided. Every single Israeli prime minister has a fake name. Did you know that? I was just talking about Ben Gurion. Do you know what his original name is? It's Gruen, Gruen. He changed it to make it sound more Jewish and sound more Middle Eastern. Do you know what Netanyahu's real name is? It's not Netanyahu, it's Milkovsky. I swear to God, go and look it up. You'll find Milkovsky. That's his real name. Remember what Israelis are. Israelis are European Jews. They don't come from Palestine, but they want you to make you believe. They want to make believe and make you believe that they come from this area, that they are indigenous to the land, that they're so Jewish, right? Even though they have no connection. So they changed the names. Here's another one. Moshe Sharat. His name is Chertok originally. You've got Levi Eshkol. Eshkol was Shklonik. So he changed it from Shklonik to Eshkol. Then you have Yigal Alon, his original name, Peikovitz. Golda Meir, Israel's first female prime minister. Her real name is not Golda Meir, it's Mabovich. Mabovich. More like mad bitch. We have Yitzhak Rabin, right? His name is not Rabin, it's Rubitsov. Are you seeing the pattern? These are Eastern European names, not Palestinian, not Jewish, not Middle Eastern. They're Eastern European, okay? They're not Palestinian. They don't come from this region. Yitzhak Shamir, he's a great one. You know, Yitzhak Shamir, he's on the wanted poster because he was wanted by the British police in Palestine for terrorism, but they don't tell you that. So Yitzhak Shamir, his original name is Yezernitsky. Shimon Peres, Persky. Netanyahu, I already told you, Malikovsky. I think I said Milkovsky, excuse me, it's Malikovsky. Never, it's the same point. Ehud Barak is Brog, so B-R-O-G, Brog. He changed it to Barak. Ariel Sharon, his original name is Shinerman. Shinerman. He changed it to Sharon. And Yair Lapid, who's you still see him changing posts, his original name is Lampel. So he changed it from Lampel to Lapid.
Yeah, that was the Khazarian playbook ever since the beginning.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, they would kill the traders on the roads, and then they would steal their identities, and that's what they've done. They're from the Khazarian Empire, and they're there pretending to be ethnic Jews. They're there because they're God's people. And so you get on Fox News, you're watching Fox News, you get all these commercials. What's that one, babe, with, the crying old ladies they're
starving.
Won't you help God's people? Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
And they're always run by these Christians. And
Right.
it's just like, oh, so this lady isn't a Christian, but she's she's a part of God's people. I mean, it's a cult. It is a cult.
So yeah, Bill Hesford's on here. He makes a good point. He says, and I shouldn't say most Christians, but older Christians, I know, watch the TV and believe mainstream media. They do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the generation, from 60, 65 on. I mean, my dad is like 88 years old, and every time we have discussions, he can't grasp the things I'm saying, because when you just watch CBS nightly news, you read the paper, and he still watches 60 Minutes. And I'm like, look, all the good news guys are dead. They've been dead for like 20 years. He's like, no, it's still great. You get that. You get this. I mean, he didn't even know. So of course, he's a Republican, and he voted for Trump. And he knew about the first assassination attempt. I said, well, he's been, there's 2 attempts on his life. And he said, 2? And I said, well, yeah, there was a second one. Well, he never, because the legacy media never even covered that, the weirdo in the golf course and all that, never covered it. So I don't watch legacy media, or what is a newspaper to me? I don't know. So I couldn't, but I began to realize. So Bill, that's exactly right. That's the problem is the majority of people that vote in this country are, and Mike, we're getting up there, are 60 and older, and they're not in tune with what's going on.
No.
In fact, us being Generation X, I think we're going to be the first generation that has set down the TV and gets our news from the internet.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's if Musk will, because Musk apparently owns the internet.
He does.
But you can tell what they're doing because they know that they're losing ground with the alternative media on the internet. So I think that's why Google is going to try and become more and more powerful. YouTube, because they're going to try and manipulate the information that is available on the internet. And I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off, but in other countries they are, they're policing hate speech and
they got the government
information, right? So
yeah, they've got the government involved, and I mean, look at Britain. They're arresting people for
posting memes, Mark.
This is the place where the Magna Carta came from, and these people have lost their minds.
I know. Well, you lose your guns.
Yep.
You lose
Amen.
a lot of things.
That's true.
Amen.
And unfortunately. All right.
Yeah. And you know who controls you by who you can't criticize. That's true. But you also know who wins the wars by what is written in the history books that you later find out were lies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. The history is not written by the victor, history is written by the victors, not the victims.
That's right. Yep.
Amen. All right. Well, any concluding thoughts?
Next episode, we're going to shoot for, or we're doing it Sunday night.
Oh yeah, we're going to have a special guest, Eric Rice. Now, Eric Rice is a gentleman that my wife listened to for a long time on Telegram, and he's got quite the following on Telegram. And then he started making some posts about Israel, and so Denise is like, "You should read my husband's book." And he reached out to her, and he said, "Yeah, sure." And so I sent him the book. He called me. We had a really good conversation. He said, "Hey, I really want to get you on the show." And we did a 2.5-hour show where we went through Zionism. We started with the Khazarian Empire, the Rot. I mean, there was no stone uncovered on that show. And he's really knowledgeable, Mark, in finance. What, baby? I mean, tell him what his...
I think he does a lot of... I think he does a lot of investments, and I think he's in investing, and he's quite knowledgeable with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin.
Yeah, I've been listening to his YouTube post, just getting ready. So somebody just asked, it will be Sunday. It'll be this Sunday. We're going live at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
Yep. And he's agreed to it, so that'll be great.
Yeah, it'll be good. I've got a lot of questions for him. So
yes, you're a finance guy. He's a finance guy, and I'll just be there, trying to figure this all out, because that will be a show I will probably not have much to say about, because I don't know that much about this crypto
hey,
stuff.
Don't worry. I'll somehow work the Jews in.
Thanks, man. Thanks for
we'll
taking
get you in.
All right, guys. Well, great show, and it was great having you on. And thank you for all your comments. The comment sections just continue to grow.
It is.
And, so many of your comments are excellent. I wish we could read them all.
In fact, I see Deb's on. She's one of the ones that was right at the beginning with us.
Oh, that's at the beginning.
Let's see if we can get one or two more in here. Let's see. I can't read some. I don't have my glasses. You're gonna have to read some stuff.
Says you have excellent discernment. Keep working on Gary DeMar.
Are you still working on Gary? I thought you gave it.
Gary's a great guy. He doesn't need anybody to work on him.
No, he doesn't. He's great.
He knows a lot more than he lets everyone know. All right. Well, then great. We'll see you guys next Sunday, and make sure again that you tune in for that and make Eric feel welcome.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Take care. We'll see you next week, Mark.
See you.
Bye.